What if the perfect piece of gear isn't actually perfect for you? The new WiiM Amp Ultra is an impressive streaming amplifier. It's powerful, it's loaded with features, and I really like it. For a lot of people, this could be the ultimate all-in-one solution. But here's the catch. Just because it's great doesn't mean it's the right fit for you. Hi there, if you're new here, my name is Aaron, and on this channel, I've made over 200 videos trying to make sure hi-fi gear, both new and vintage, actually meets your audio needs. So today I'm asking, even though this little box is packed with a lot of features and is receiving rave reviews, does everything work and sound like it should? And if so, is the Amp Ultra really the right product for you? Let's find out now. My first WiiM product was the mini streamer that I paid less than $100 for a few years ago, and I still use it today. I like to connect this to my vintage gear and stream music via Wi-Fi because I think it sounds better than when I'm streaming music via Bluetooth. WiiM has released several products since this debut in 2021, and I'll be honest with you, I've never upgraded from the WiiM streamer. So today's review of the Amp Ultra is not going to be a comparison against other WiiM products or even against a competitor like eversolo because unlike other reviewers, I simply don't have those products on hand to compare it to. But that's okay because I have a lot of non-audiophile friends who want to improve music playback at home and always ask me for recommendations. These newcomers are often upgrading from a Bluetooth speaker, Sonos, or even playing music from their TV soundbar and can be intimidated if I offer them a complex stereo system setup. So today I want to slow down and really look at the Ultra as a standalone component because there are a lot of people who I will recommend this to and others I might not. So let's continue on and see if I think the Amp Ultra fits in your current hi-fi journey. At its core, priced at just $529, the Amp Ultra is a streaming amplifier, which means it combines an amp, a DAC, and a streamer all in one sleek modern box. Instead of having to purchase and connect 3 or 4 different components, the Amp Ultra promises to simplify your system without compromising sound quality. The Amp Ultra uses 2 TPA3255 chips to provide 100 watts per channel at 8 ohms, making this a Class D amplifier. A lot of new Class D amps are utilizing a PFFB technology. It's kind of hard to explain, but what's important to know is that the amp is constantly working behind the scenes to make sure you aren't hearing any distortion and the music is presented as natural as possible. I kind of think of this as like my hybrid car that's constantly switching to give me the best gas mileage possible. I don't really have to do anything, I'm just driving and it's constantly switching back and forth for me. That's kind of what this PFFB technology is doing. You don't really have to do anything, it's just working behind the scenes while you're listening to music to make sure you get the best playback possible. One of the biggest selling points here is streaming capability. The WiiM app integrates Wi-Fi streaming using Spotify and Tidal Connect, along with many others like Amazon Music, Qobuz, Pandora, and plenty more. Please note Apple Music users will have to use Bluetooth to stream your music instead of Wi-Fi, which is something to keep in mind based on your streaming preferences. The app itself is easy to use, responsive, and packed with features that will not only allow you to select your music, but also fine-tune it to your listening preference, something I will discuss in more detail later. Connectivity is another strong point. You've got HDMI ARC for your TV, optical inputs for CD players or digital sources, USB plus RCA line in for analog gear. Keep in mind the RCA input is not a phono input, so you'll need to connect a turntable with a built-in preamp or connect an external one in between the table and the Amp Ultra. I've had a lot of friends reach out and ask me if I could suggest an amplifier that allows them to connect both a TV and turntable, and now I can say yes. These folks aren't the most tech savvy when it comes to connecting audio devices, so having a phono input would have made this a little easier, but most people in this category are buying turntables with built-in preamps, so it shouldn't be too hard for them to figure out. If you are a fan of bass control, you will be excited to see a subwoofer output on the rear of the unit. Bluetooth supported is included too, though honestly, unless you're an Apple Music fan, you'll probably be using Wi-Fi most of the time. The design itself is minimalist and modern. It has a very responsive touchscreen that helps you maneuver through menu options or provide a place to view album art or whatever else you would like to have displayed. If you'd rather not use a touchscreen for menu navigation, that's not a problem because the Ultra comes with an impressive remote that's even capable of voice control. Setup is super simple. Plug it in, connect to Wi-Fi through the app, and you're basically done. With the app downloaded, the unit pairs with your phone's Wi-Fi connection and starts setting itself up right away. It really is that easy. Also, you might have noticed it appears the amp only accepts banana plugs for speakers, but no worries. The Amp Ultra comes with these little adapters that you can install to connect regularly wired speakers if that is all you happen to have on hand. Of course, none of this matters if it doesn't sound good, and thankfully, the Amp Ultra delivers. It's pushing plenty of power for most speakers at 100 watts per channel. The built-in DAC uses a highly regarded ESS Sabre DAC that supports high-res PCM and DSD, so you're not missing out on resolution when streaming music. And listening with my Klipsch Heresy speakers, which are easy for amps like the Ultra to drive, the overall presentation is very clean, but it's not thin like some other Class D amps. And just like with any other amplifier, bass performance on the Amp Ultra is improved when using a subwoofer. This is where the app comes in handy again, thanks to the EQ adjustments. This allows for us to basically fine-tune the sound either by using built-in suggested EQs such as dance or folk, or even go nuts and design our own EQ settings to our particular tastes. For my friends who love vintage audio gear, think of this as tone controls on the front of your receiver that allows you to dial in the bass, treble, and more to your liking. So when you set up your Amp Ultra and give it a listen, if you want more treble, go for it. More bass? No problem. Think the mid-range sounds flat? Just adjust the EQ until you are satisfied. You can even make subwoofer adjustments in the app. One more thing to note, if you feel as if the sound is still lacking after deciding on your EQ setting, you can also use the app's built-in room correction software that will use the microphone in your cell phone via the app to correct any issues you might have with the room you set the Amp Ultra up in. Now, I'll be honest, even though you can connect multiple sources like a turntable or a CD player to the Amp Ultra, I really think this amp sounds its best when you are streaming high-resolution music via Wi-Fi through a service like Tidal. If you are using a bass service like Spotify that is currently not offering high-resolution playback, although I think that might be changing soon, your sound results are going to differ using that lower quality stream from Spotify than when I'm listening via Tidal. Also, as I expected, vinyl playback worked and sounded fine with the Ultra, but I prefer the sound I can achieve listening to records via my vintage audio setups, where there is a more dedicated solution to playing vinyl records. Now, here's where we get to the big question. Is this amp really the right product for you? Well, if at any point during this video you've wished you could email me a specific question and ask me directly, you can actually do that. All you have to do is click on the link in the pinned comment below, and that will send you to my email newsletter. And once you sign up and confirm with my newsletter, it will send you my personal email address. And you can feel free to ask me any further questions you might have about the Amp Ultra through that email. Look, if you want an all-in-one system that handles streaming, amplification, and DAC duties in one box, the Amp Ultra is easy to set up, easy to use, and allows you to fine-tune the sound to your specific needs, making it an easy product for me to recommend. If you're just starting to build a hi-fi setup or you want to downsize from a stack of gear into something clean and modern, it's hard to beat. It takes up very little space and reduces the mess of wire that often comes with building a hi-fi system made of separate components. A lot of my friends get confused when I start explaining to them all the different separate components they need in order to build a hi-fi setup. And I can actually see their eyes glaze over when I use terms like amp, preamp, DAC, streamer. It's just way too complicated for them. They just want something nice and simple. And now, thankfully, I can just send them and recommend the Amp Ultra from WiiM, and they're going to be very, very happy. However, a lot of my viewers are fans of vintage audio, or they just love living in the rabbit hole of trying to figure out how to properly pair all of these separate components together to get the best sound possible. An amp, a preamp, a DAC, a streamer. They just love the tactile experience of interacting with their gear, pushing buttons, turning knobs, and moving speakers around to dial in their sound by ear. I think if you fall into this camp, you might find the Amp Ultra a little too convenient. Like you almost feel like you're a little too locked in. I think it would make for a great second unit or perhaps an option for your TV setup, but I would hesitate to recommend replacing your separate components in favor of the Amp Ultra, unless you are simply ready to downsize and leave all those wires and separate components behind. Personally, I enjoyed using the Amp Ultra, but after a few weeks, I found myself missing my vintage stereo setup, and look forward to dragging out a favorite receiver of mine from the 1970s that I bought last year that technically has the same 100 watts per channel as the Amp Ultra. If you'd like to learn more about my Sherwood vintage receiver, you can do so by watching this video here.